Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's in good spirits for today's session. We're going to wait for just a minute more and then start off. People are still coming in.
Yes, well, we are recording on Facebook and on, so we are ready. So you can
All right.
start.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. As you know, we are here today for a discussion on habitats for butterflies. This is part of our series of workshops that we want to do. But before building onto these workshops, we thought to get like-minded people together in a virtual room and try and have an open house. So we'll start off with a few questions that uh, have come to us online, and then we'll open it up for everybody to get an opportunity to ask a question. So I hope you guys are all enjoying Big Butterfly Month and you're counting butterflies, watching butterflies, sharing that knowledge with others, and of course, sharing the joy of butterfly watching too. Today, we have Arjan Basu Roy with us. He heads Naturemates and has been a leading light, I would say, in the field of butterfly conservation. He's learned from the best in the industry, and he's followed the best practices, and he's involved a lot of people in this effort. I met Arjan at Baksa for the first time, and uh, as you might all know, Baksa Tiger Reserve is a heaven for butterflies, and seeing his dedication and the work he was doing and his team, the talent that the team has. I went to visit uh, their butterfly park in at the Eco Park, Salt Lake City, Calcutta, and I was amazed by the work they are doing there, and amazed by the people attached with the program, the kind of research labs they have, and I was really taken aback by dedicated people trying to spread the right message. It's at times it's really tough, but spread the right message to reach out to maximum people, hundreds of people coming into the butterfly park trying to learn about butterflies, lots of interns trying to learn about research on butterflies, people building habitats. So Arjan has been building habitats all across Eastern India, I would say, and he has a few in Calcutta itself. So for today's session, we're going to have Arjan here with us today, and we're missing Vijay. Vijay had some emergency to attend to, so he will probably join in some time, hopefully. Uh, with that, I would like Arjun to start off. Arjun, if you would start off by telling us how you got into butterflies and why butterfly habitats.
So, good evening, everybody. So my coming to butterflies was way back in early 2000. So as usual, like many other nature enthusiasts, I am also into birding. I love to go behind birds in my very young, very early days when I was in my school. So, but at around 2000, late 1998, 99 onwards, I got interested in butterflies as well. And then we have a very, we have a person known as Shubhankar Patro. He was guru to all of us in many ways. So we used to go for, nature walks every Sunday. It's almost like a ritual that we will be going out to some places in and around Kolkata every Sunday. And from there, I get into butterflies. One of the major reason is, I can take a photo of a butterfly much better than a photo of a bird because I don't have a telephoto lens at that time. So photography helps me, to get engaged with butterflies more and more. And eventually I fall in love with it. And also during that period, the Butterfly India Yahoo group kicks off. Vijay Barve take a lead in, communicating with people who are into butterflying, who are running behind butterflies. So, so all these things happen simultaneously in a span of 3-4 years, and I became a permanent uh, uh, butterfly watcher initially. Then eventually I get along with many other aspects of butterflying, and now I am definitely, we are as a group, Naturemates, we are a team now, and it's not about me, it's about us. And we are into butterfly habitat making, we are into serious research on various aspects of butterflies, and we are also into regular monitoring of butterflies at different places. In West Bengal, we are mostly active, but we are doing work in many other states, in many other places as well. So this is how I get into it. And then, if you love butterfly, what actually put me into making habitats for butterflies is, when I love butterfly, I like to have them around me. So when I thought of seeing butterfly sitting at Kolkata, I found that all our, when we were child, when we were kids, when we were just in our 10, 11 years of age, we get to see a lot of butterflies in and around Kolkata. Everywhere there were butterflies. And when I was in the early 2000, when I was looking for butterflies from a very different, in a much focused way, I start finding that they are not there anymore in that way. What we have seen in early 90s, in early 2000, they were completely out of the main Kolkata area in most of the places, from most of the places. And then I actually thought of doing something, uh, uh, doing something for them so that I can get to see them in and around me, means around me, around my place. That's very important because butterfly is a thing that directly relates with my well-being. I live a better, peaceful life when I see butterflies around. So it's a selfish triumph. I want to satisfy my need to see butterfly around me, and from there I started creating butterfly gardens. Yeah, my first trial was at Purulia, where I learned a lot of things about butterflies. It's around 2004, 2005, 2006, 7. These 4 years, I spent a lot of time in Purulia, running behind butterflies in Panchet Hills, around Panchet Hills, in Biharinath Hills, in Ajodhya Hills, and in many other places, in villages in and around those areas. And we tried our hand in a place called Gaur Panchakot, the first butterfly garden I tried to make. It's all happened because of Ujjwal Ghosh sir. He was then the DFO at that place, and me and Ujjwal Ghosh sir, we tried a lot. We fanatically start taking photographs of different species which are very unknown to me at that point of time. Those are not seen in Kolkata. The purple leaf blue, the sword tails, the charaxes, all those were very interesting. And we were like, fanatically we start chasing them, the baronet and all other butterflies. And we started our garden. That was initially, we were clueless about how to go about it. So we thought of putting plenty of nectar plants. We did that. Many butterflies came, but not all of them, and they didn't stay there for long. eventually, after that, I get a chance to go to Japan. I went there as in a spouse visa along with my wife, who was doing her postdoctoral research in Japan. And when I was there, I was not doing anything. I was just looking for something, and I actually wrote a post in internet that I want to see butterflies of Japan. Is there anybody who can help me out? After 7 8 days, I got a call from a person from a very far distance, means in the northernmost islands, uh, Motoki-san, and he called me and said, "Are you sure that you want to look for butterflies in Japan?" I said, "Yes, I'm very sure." I told that I have seen at least 500 species of butterflies in India by then, and I'm really looking forward to see some of the butterflies of Japan and some of the habitats. And he was very curious. And then he said, "My friends will meet you in a place called Sanomiya in Kobe." And when I went to that place, I found four very well, relatively aged men. I was in my early 30s at that point of time, 11 years back, and they were like 60 plus people, and they were like started interrogating me that you are this young and you have seen 500 butterflies. How come we are looking for butterflies for the last 40 years and we haven't seen more than 200 species yet? I was a bit confused at what to answer. What can be my answer for this? I was feeling very uncanny that four Japanese with very peculiar English accent, and but their English is it's very tough to understand and very funny at point of time. But I was like questioned by them like anything. And then I suddenly asked, what is the diversity of Japan? They said, we have 249 butterflies. I said, we have 1500 butterflies. I haven't seen one third of my butterflies, and you have seen almost 80% of your butterflies. That's the difference. Then they, okay, then they got a bit relaxed. And then after a while, they are almost crying that, Arjun, you are so young and you are looking for butterflies. None of the people, none of our children, none of our grandchildren are interested in it anymore. No one is looking for butterflies. You will see only old people in the when you want to see butterflies in Japan and this and that. And eventually they adopted me almost. They took me to places in Japan to showcase their butterflies. And I was like, I was so privileged because those people are, they are very important in my life, in my triumph for knowing butterflies, spending time with butterflies. Then I start visiting various butterfly gardens of Japan because I had that in my mind that I will be doing some garden sometime in my own place. So I visited the Itami Insect Museum Garden. It's one of the very big garden in Japan. I went to the Mino Garden. I went to Ozikuen Zoo Garden. I went to many other gardens. Almost all the gardens which are around and which are not very, far away from my place of stay, because then I have to commute, and in Japan, public transport even is quite costly. So I have to balance all those things because Jimny was only earning then. I was not doing anything. I have not done anything in Japan apart from, roaming around. From Japan around after 4 months. And when I get back to Kolkata in 2009 November, I got a call from one of our forest officer, Mr. Nilanjan Mollik, that they want to do something in Salt Lake Central Park, and can I create a butterfly garden for them, because Ujjwal Ghosh sir has recommended me that yes, Arjun is there, he can do a butterfly garden at Salt Lake. I jumped into that. I literally jumped into that because I was, I have seen so many gardens. I have volunteered in all those gardens. I asked them that can I do something in the garden. They said, what you can do, you don't know Japanese, you cannot interact with people. But I said, but I can take care of the butterflies. I can look for whatever you ask me to do. I can clean the boxes. I can do anything. So they allowed me, and they actually trained me a lot in different way, because the work culture in Japan is so very good. They are so meticulous. in their, and they're so passionate about the whole thing. In Japan, there is no forest department. There is one animal welfare department, and they are mostly into dogs and cats, more like that. The entire forest of Japan is private owned. They collect butterflies like anything, but they know about their butterflies so well that they can manage the population in a fantastic manner. The first day I went to see butterfly in Japan, it was a very unique experience in my life. So four of them, one of the person who was a sort of leader in that group, Mr. Tatsuya-san. Tatsuya-san was, we went to a place for butterflies. I exactly, it's in, I forgot the name of the place. Anyhow, I went to see butterflies, and those are, the some Chrysosophyras, the hair stick butterflies, very beautiful looking butterflies. And they took me to that place for that particular two species of Chrysosophyras. But for
Yeah.
me in Japan, every butterfly is a new butterfly. So I was running
Yes.
behind each and everything. Whatever I'm seeing, I'm photographing. And I was like, copper, hedge blue, this, that. So I was running behind all the butterflies I am seeing. So, but I found that they are not happy with, the way I'm doing. So they discussed something in between. And then they took a ladder, asked me to get into a quite high branch of a tree, of a oak tree.
Mm.
And I went up, Satya-san went behind me up to that branch. He taped me on that branch, literally taped me and asked me to stand there and look for the Chrysosophyra. Because you are here to look for that butterfly, you are running here and there, you are losing your focus and you will miss the, the butterfly we are here to show you. So I was like, then what will happen? Because I am standing in one place and the butterfly will come to me. They said, yes, they will come to you at 3 p.m. around. And that was around 2 to 10, like that. So I said, so I have to stand here in the branch for the next 1 hour. They, yes, you have to concentrate because they don't give you much time. You have to take photo. You check your, exposure. You check your this and that, and
Yeah.
you concentrate.
Be ready. Yeah.
Be ready. So I have to stand on a tree top, on a branch, taped. I can't move much. And just at around 3:35, those hair sticks from nowhere they start flying around, and
Mm.
they do dog fighting. Two of the males will chase each other. They will go very high up, and they will come down, sit for a millisecond, and then they again start doing that round. And it's wonderful. The whole ambience was so good. You are on top of a canopy. It's quite high,
Yeah.
and you can't move much, and so you have to wait because they have set me in a way that I get a very good light. I get a good watching in front of me where
Mhm.
these hair sticks tends to stop for a momentary stop for the momentary stop, and I was shooting them. I go, I went crazy, and when I get down, I get to know that these people are so much into the ethology of butterfly, which is absolutely missing, at least at that point of time, for me. I will not say for others because I don't know how they used to work at that point of time. But these people, they get me into the ecological part, not only the ecological part, also the ecological part of insect, the solitary insect, which is very interesting. And I was completely in it from then. Means from 2009, my way of looking at butterflies
Change completely.
changed. It completely changed. When I came back in 2009, I came back in October, and then by end of November, we are already into making a butterfly garden in the Salt Lake Central Park. Sir told me that we don't have much funds, so you be slow. I said, forget about funds. Let me do what I want to do first, and then I will think of money. Money is secondary. Then I am getting a land parcel. I am getting at least some support from you. That's more than anything I can ask for at that point of time, because
Absolutely.
I just learned. I was absolutely charged up, and I got immediate scope. In the first year, we released around 2,000 butterflies. And in India, in entire India, there were no gardens at that point of time with a proper lab facility where
Yes.
butterfly rearing is happening. I know about a couple of garden at that point of time. One is at KFRI, Kerala Forest Research Institute. That garden was one of the garden that was surviving. Means there are here and there people are trying to make butterfly gardens, one or two, but there is no as such garden what I have seen in Japan. Actually, yeah, the thing is in Japan it's in a temperate zone. So throughout the year the temperature is fluctuating in a very broad range. Even during the winter, almost more than 6 months, the temperature lies below the butterfly comfort zone. So all those gardens are completely weather controlled garden, and for them the rearing facility is a must because they keep the larva very properly. They take care of them very properly. So that went into my mind that in India I don't need a garden which has weather control, but I definitely need a lab where I have a control on on my butterfly life cycle stages, various stages of life cycle. So from my understanding, look, I'm a student of I'm an engineer by training. So all my learning are from nature directly. Whatever I know about this subject, I know it from my experience with spending time with them. I have not read many books. I have not read many literature at that point of time. Google was not like it is today. So I was learning. I started Naturemates when I was in my class 9th standard. So I was deeply into nature study from a very young age, and I was learning everything from nature itself. Means I spend a good amount of time with butterflies, birds, in the fields, in orchards, in villages, and whatever I have learned at till that point of time, say it's ecology or whatever it is, not from the book, not from any person, but from my own observations in the field with the animals, with the plants, etc. And definitely that was helped by Shubham Kodda a lot because we were very regular out in the field. We all were learning, but Shubham Kodda was anchoring he was the steward of that group who meticulously took us to these places. It was very disciplined outings. All of us are in time in the early morning train to, he dictate us which coach we have to avail, when we have to get down, what we have to carry. You always bring your umbrella, you always bring your water, you need to have some snacks. So he gave a detailed guideline of what we have to do on that morning. And we were very regular and we were like, following him. But the learning was very original way of learning. Means, we all go out, we have our own area of interest, and we start we just keep on documenting all those things. We ask questions to each other, what you are feeling about this, is the number is going down, is the number is coming up, and we usually go to our place repetitively. Means in a year maybe we have 52 Sundays, so maybe we have covered 15 places 2-3 times a year. So we know the seasonal variations. We know what is happening during the winter. What in which places the butterflies are better in the pre-monsoon, and in which places they are better in during the post-monsoon. Which is the best time to see them? Which is not the best time to see them? And everything. And all those things are in our mind from the natural existence. It's not at all academic. It's all about our observations and our learning from nature. So when I get the scope to interact in those butterfly gardens in Japan, and they allowed me to work with them as a volunteer for on a regular basis. I went to those gardens on a regular basis for 3 months almost in Japan. All the weekdays I spent it there. They allow me to enter their garden after 2-3 visits. They allow me to enter their garden without the ticket, which is quite a costly thing. So they saw that a person is here in Japan, and my friends were, they were perplexed. You are not going to any mall, you are not going to these, you are not going to love hotel, and you are going for butterflies. I said yes, I'm very happy with butterflies, and this is entirely a new way of looking at it.
Mm.
So in Bonavitan, we started creating the habitat along with the butterfly lab. Now there is no money. So Sir said, I don't have a room. I said, okay, you have a place, and they have a water tank, on 4 columns,
Mm.
and there were no terrace in between those columns. It's 3 storied high, but there is no internal terrace in between. So I said, sir, if you can please arrange a, convert it into a room, any type of room, and that will do to start with. Sir said, okay, I have this much of money, I can make a room out of it. It will not cost me a lot. So I got my first butterfly lab, which was a cycle stand actually under a water tank. In that lab, I was the first butterfly larvae that we collected is of a common palm fly. Rudro said, "Look, this is how you have to look for larvae." Well,
Mm.
he actually hold on to a leaf of a erica palm, and and there was a larva. It's like magic. Man,
Mm.
Rudra touched it, and I got the larva. So, and Shubham Kadda used to spend time there. Radhanatha used to spend time there. Shomo, Orpon, many of the young brigade who are who are with us at that point of time in Naturemates, they spend a lot of time. And there was a person, there was a Gorkha, guy called Dhan Singh Tamang. Dhan Singh was a caretaker of Konobitan, but Sir said, I don't have money for anything, na. So I start pampering धन सिंह जी, आप आ जाओ मेरे को थोड़ा हेल्प कर दो, मैं तुमको थोड़ा थोड़ा कुछ दूंगा अलग से. So धन सिंह was a fabulous guy. He has he has taught me many a thing, and he was from hills, so he is very good with leaves. He was good with insects and other. And then Dhan Singh, me, Kamalika, Devapriya, Shomo, all these people, Shubham Kadda definitely, Radhanatha definitely, and many others, many others. If I have to name, I have to name 50 people, I think, at that point of time who has, voluntarily, because we don't have any fund for anybody. So I used to board a bus from Jadavpur. I get down at the stoppage. It's a it's a one bus travel. It will take around 45-50 minutes for me, and I spend the entire afternoon at that place, looking, bringing in seeds during all our Sunday visits. We start collecting seeds from here and there, and we are sowing all those in different places. We got 3 small pocket of land, and at the end of the year, we found that we have raised more than 2,500 butterflies from that lab, from that converted cycle stand lab,
Wow.
and that impressed Mr. Mollik a lot. Then he properly made that room, and then in 2010, one good thing happened. Devsena and Sarika joined Naturemates. Sarika was a very difficult guy. She was very different from many others I know of. So when she came, I said, you have to get a first division in your masters, then only you can work for. I just say it. I just say it because I have nothing. I have no revenue. I can't share any money with them. I can't give anything to them. And they are very good in their studies. Sarika was studying nutrition from Calcutta University, which is a very good course, and she was already working with some, hospitals as nutrition and dietitian, and they were doing a lot of they were giving tuitions to kids, so they were having some money, and I don't want to spoil their setup and make into them into a for a purpose which is having no assurance of any fund at that
Any
point of
future,
time.
yes.
No. But Sarika took up the whole thing in a very unique way because she is a very good learner and she learned a lot of things during her upbringing in her own hometown, means where she lived. And she has a very keen eye. She take up many things absolutely by her own. She learned almost everything by her own because that's how I learned and that's how I usually ask people to get their learning that you do, and then we will see what is happening. So I don't like to dictate someone that you have to do this and that. It's very tough the way, but if you really get into the whole thing, then you will get immense confidence at one point of time, and you can do many a thing all your along the line. So Sarika, after Sarika and Devsana joined Naturemates, the whole scenario of Naturemates starts changing. We are looking for more projects. We are looking for more many other things. And Sarika changed the whole way of our work in the Bonobitan. We start doing some small, observations. We start keeping the records very
Interesting.
properly
Yes.
in a very intrinsic manner. And eventually, I get Sarika in touch with Krishna Meg and others who are working in the field. We start getting other projects as well. And at that point of time, we are rearing around 5,000 butterflies in Bonobitan already, and we are bringing in many host plants. We are observing many new host plants as well, because no one has check those. It's not that
Yes.
suddenly a butterfly selects a new host plant. It's always there. It's there for maybe 100 years, maybe more than that, maybe 500 years. We have not seen it because we are not looking for them in that way, in that with that passion and with that, I say discipline. Because whenever you are into nature study, whenever you are working with nature, discipline is a must. Because all the elements of nature, they're very disciplined. I have never seen a bird who is a late riser. I have never seen a butterfly who go out in the night, other than the common evening biome in our houses. So they are very disciplined in their own way. And if you really want to work with them, you have to be very disciplined. There is no other. I don't know any shortcut for this. You have to be very disciplined, and you have to be very regular, because they do things every day, and you have to be there every day to understand what are
What
they
they're
doing
doing.
at what point of time, and
Exactly.
which time of the day, and all those things. So this is how I get into making butterfly habitat. Eventually, we get a chance to make habitat at Ramsai in Gorumara, then in Baksa. All those are our dream projects. And then we also did a lot of butterfly garden in West Bengal, in many other places, in schools, in colleges. Many of them are like, here I must say, there are a significant number of garden which is happening around India now, right now, which is a lot, which is unthinkable at 2009 when we started doing it, are a significant number of them are happening just because the sake of doing it. There is no planning how to maintain it. So whenever you are getting into a task of making a habitat or creating a habitat or restoring a habitat, one time investment monetarily, time wise, is fine. Many can afford. But the recurring experience, the recurring maintenance of it, the money and the
The time,
time,
effort. Yes.
dedicated time, the effort, it has to be so so precise and so regular that you cannot afford to even you know uh, allow it to be on its own for some a month or so. It can change the whole direction of your project. So that's one of the areas. That's the basic of my coming into butterflies
So
and
Arjun,
in habitat.
it's a fascinating story. Like I always have told you also that being around you, it reflects on how you have learned from being out there in the field, as well as your way of connecting with the right people and getting help with no ego. Just
Oh,
getting help.
another thing I must say, in 2007, 2006 onwards, I get in touch with Vijay, and then I was into, Vijay is like my elder brother. Vijay is someone very special in my life, and it's a lifelong thing. I know, but there is no way I can be detached from Vijay anymore. That I can say about Krishna Meg, I can say about you as well. So, Butterfly India Yahoo Group is a family. At that point of time, I am blessed to be a part of it from the very almost from the beginning. Means after 2 3 years of it starting, I must say a few names: Nelson Rodriguez, Balakrishnan Valapil, Paresh, all our Amboli friends, means Parag and Hemant,
Hemant.
Dr. Saab. There are so many people who are like, who are a friend of your life, and we are so relaxed with each other. I know that I have if I'm going to Goa, I have 2, 3 places to leave without any hesitation. I can. And one thing also happened at that point of time when I was going a bit into butterflying more than just looking at butterflies. I started looking for people who are working. I started looking for books. So I found Krishnamay book. I found Meena Haribal's book. I found Isaac's book was there, the small book, which was published from WWF. It was there with me for long.
Long
The
back, yes.
big book has not come at that point of time. So I contacted them over phone. There was, I don't have emails. I do have emails, but then the social media platforms were not there. We only have Orkut. So Vijay connected me over Orkut. Krishnameg was never there in social media. So did Isaac. So I found their phone number. I rang up Krishnameg. I sent, and I also published a book in 2007, 50 Butterflies of Bengal Plains, because what I found is there is no handy book around which, common people can use. Means it's not an academic book. It's a very simple pictorial guide, but that was a very, what I found very important for us, because that gives me a confidence that, okay, at least I know 50 species from my place. And then when I wrote that book, I wanted to get a feedback from all the stalwarts in this subject, and I connected with all of them. I somehow found Minaji. I somehow get in touch with Krishnameg. I got in touch with Isaac, and they're phenomenal. They're very good people, and they are real good teachers. Uh, when I am talking with Isaac Kemkar for the first time, it's something very different. I cannot explain it. So I asked Krishnameg, I was clueless about his age when I was first writing this, because it was such a big book, and so academic. I mean, it's a very
Peninsular
heavy
India,
book,
the book.
peninsular.
Peninsular,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was for me
So
also. It was really heavy.
I was clueless about a young guy like Kiki had wrote it. So I have no idea of his age. So I asked him, how old are you? Kiki sent me back a picture with a buffalo, buffalo skull. He's having a buffalo skull on his head, holding a buffalo skull on his head, and said, "I am not very older than you." And in 2007, KK came to India, and he was at my place. So we were like, we bonded very well from the very beginning, and it's a good way of interaction, because he is very serious about the subject, and he is now taking a very big responsibility of training Sarika, Orko, Orchon, and many of all of us. Rather, I must say, in the finer aspects of butterfly study from various angles and various.
Yes.
And Minaji also wrote me back. We published we used to publish a magazine called Loptulia. So in 2008, I published one edition of it covering the Butterfly India meet we organized in Baksa, where Krishna Meg, Isaac ji, Minaji, everyone had given me an article. Vijay had also given me an article. So it was the thing that I always try to get in touch with people who knows the subject, and I was fearless, because I'm here to learn. I was never here to teach anybody anything. I was here to learn. Even today, I am learning, and till the last day, I will be working. I will be learning more than
few
anything else.
few a few very important things from this very fascinating story, Arjun. One, that it's important to get the right sort of exposure, in the sense that, like you said, I can relate to that story of going to parks, going to different gardens, trying to understand what works, what doesn't work, what are the great parts about, and how people are working in these areas. And I must say, the butterfly community in India is actually a really amazing group of people.
Yes,
Really helpful. You go to anybody, they're always open. There is no, there is no ulterior motive or anything. It's just the love of butterflies. I think butterflies bring this out in people, of sharing the knowledge, spreading it. I can totally relate to your 50 butterfly booklet, because you are getting to learn, and you're like, oh, uh, I face these problems. So how do I make it simpler for the people who follow? So
Exactly.
that is
That,
actually a
that, that,
really amazing thing to hear, that the experiences have been similar, and how people have helped out. And this is what I think we're trying to build here, since we've been talking about Big Butterfly Month and the habitat theme that we have this year. That this group, which is in today, it's not just a one-time engagement that we want to sit on a virtual meeting and tell them how to build it. It's a lifetime of bonding over plants growing, butterflies laying eggs, lots of butterflies mating. You see this around, and getting to know even more people with the medium of butterflies, and people getting to know about butterflies. So really amazing. But uh, I'll ask you a question starting off now. I'll answer, I'll tell you what I think about it, and then I'll open it up to you. So the question is, uh, when people ask me what is the most important thing about building a butterfly habitat? And my answer is simple: you need a butterflyer, right? It's that story of if you any garden can be turned into a butterfly garden if you have a person there spending time locating butterflies, looking at them, observing them. How your Japanese friends could predict, right? So I have met people who do that, who have so much interest, and that's what makes a butterfly habitat. And we have been building this corridor in Delhi, and it's not our work, it's not my team's work even. It's these people who come to us saying that we want to build, what is needed, what can we do, how can we help. And it's been so successful just based on these people. They take up the responsibility, they're eager to learn, they're eager to put in sometimes even their own money to get this going, get parcels of land from their colonies, from other organizations, and they're willing to put in that time. And I think that's the real important thing about butterfly habitats. What do you think is the most important thing about building a butterfly habitat? When you start building a habitat, what is the most important thing?
it's look, so what you said is what my feeling is actually. So the thing is, if you really want to, actually we cannot create a habitat the way we are saying. I mean, we can actually nourish it into a better shape.
Exactly.
Habitat is already there.
Yes.
Butterflies are already there. Their
Yes.
visibility is restricted because we are not looking at them with time. So even in a very good garden, if you go there for 15 minutes, you can be disappointed. I can assure you, if you go there for 5 hours, you will be feeling like you are blessed because you have seen more than 40, 45 species in a day in an
Yes.
urban setup. So it's not about we create habitats, we make the already existing habitat
Better.
we prepare it in
Good.
a way so that the visibility of butterflies get enhanced. We
Yes.
don't bring butterflies, we don't bring larvae, pupae from other places to a place, to a habitat. No? So
Absolutely.
if you look it into a philosophical way, my idea of creating habitat is very simple. Like, Sohail, I am asking you to come to my place for dinner. So in general, what we do is I cook something which I am good in cooking, or which I like the most, which fits my budget, which is something of sort of standard thing, and I serve it to you. But when I'm creating a habitat for butterflies, and you are a butterfly, say, so I will not serve you what I want to serve you. I'll ask you, Sohel, what you love to eat at during dinner. You may say
Yes.
puff rice and pani and some sweets.
Yeah.
It's not something very standard. It's not something very unique, but you like it the most. And your dinner is very important because it gives you a good sleep if you are happy with what you have ate. And if you ate something that is of my choice, not yours, but as you are a guest, you cannot say no and you have to eat it. You can never be happy. So my way of creating habitat is I look for a place. Definitely there are 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5 butterflies. So I go to each and one of them. How I go? I follow them. I look at them. I wait for them to do something. And I try to find their comfort zone. I try to find what they are doing, what they are utilizing. And I just make sure what they are utilizing, those things are in
Should be there.
abundance in that habitat. I do nothing else.
Exactly. Yes.
So I allow them
Yes.
to showcase themselves and I ensure that they get their comfort zone in that habitat. So if I go to your place and I get to eat the thing I like, I get to sleep in a bed, exactly the bed I like to sleep in, a bit hard, not very, soft, a bit big because I'm not very thin guy. And then I get to read some books which I like to read. I get a good toilet with a good commode, and it's comfortable toilet, it's clean. And then you have a good terrace, I can spend some time in the evening or in the morning. So your home, though it's your home, but I truly found a comfort zone in your home. So my visit to your home will increase because I know if I'm not happy, if I really want some company, Swell's place
Agreed.
has all the things which I like to have in and around me. That's how I create the habitat. And we think that they don't talk, they don't interact the way we. But all these animals have their own way of communication. If a set of common immigrants, find various species of say cassia, get good nectaring flowers, get good place to sleep, they will bring others. The look where we stay is very good. You don't need to fly here and there, and you can get good food, good place to stay at night, and there are lots of other things happening. So come and stay at my place for a day or two. And this is how they bring more butterflies. And when there is a will of other, say one or two species, when they get in, when the number goes up, that brings different species also because they are inquisitive. Why
Yes.
these guys are there in numbers? And when they come in, I saw a new one coming. I again start researching on its comfort zone. I ensure that that thing goes up, and eventually this is how we make the habitat more habitable for more and more species in good numbers. Simple. There is no magic in it. There is a deep respect for the butterflies,
For the yes.
for my own knowledge. It's not about what I know. It's all about what I am learning from them, what I am founding. That's why, there is no prototype. I can give you a list of 50 plants and you will never be able to make a good garden
Mm.
because it's not about 50 plants which the butterfly likes the most.
Yes.
It's about butterflies of your place, what they are liking the most. It can be very different from what they are liking at my place. So when
Exactly. Yes.
the same species at your place may like something else, and in my place may like something else.
Exactly.
So this is an understanding that helps me a lot while I'm creating habitats. And I am absolutely I depends entirely on butterflies or birds whenever I'm creating some habitat because I'm making it for them, not for my own thing. It's not my thing. It's their thing. I'm just facility. So I deeply respect their choices and do the thing. It may not look very, classy. It may not look very shiny, but it will be full of butterflies. You can trust them.
So, Arjun, this is actually a very important point that you brought up that uh, people get hung up on the list of host plants or some plants that you can give me. I can plant those, and there'll be a butterfly habitat. Butterflies will start flowing in. It actually doesn't work like that. It actually needs this person inquisitive enough to respect the butterflies, to tell that person, he or she, what is needed in habitat, what do they require, what is their comfort zone. And like you rightly said, different butterflies, same but butterflies of same species in different places behave differently, and they have different needs and different wants. And if you keep your mind open, keep your eyes open, put in the effort, see these butterflies, enjoy it, it'll actually come to you very
Absolutely,
simply.
absolutely.
How to utilize these plants, what to do with it. Like I say, it's ABC, very easy to build a butterfly garden. You see what butterflies are around you, you plant the appropriate plants, but it doesn't work with that ABC. You need to go beyond it. You need to study butterflies, feel their
Give some
behavior.
time to them. You need to give some time to them. You know what
Yes.
happened during this corona? So what happened if I got up with corona in March. So I
Yes.
got a prescription. I went to a doctor. My doctor is good enough to share a online prescription with me. And then every next person who got corona who asked me for the prescription, and I said, yes, this is what I'm taking. Many of them actually start having those without consulting doctor, and then it's like that. There is a prescription for a corona patient, and you are also having corona, but the prescription varies with your body weight, with your diet, with your other things, comorbid
History.
factors and
Yes. Yes.
everything. So it's not that if you have corona you have a set of prescription which can cure you. It happened in it happened in throughout India. So somebody got corona, he got some prescriptions, and that was followed by 15 people at least.
Absolutely. When I got corona in September, I got prescriptions in my WhatsApp. Everybody has the first message. They're like, okay, you have corona,
And
take this prescription.
you then choose the best looking prescription and start following that. It's not so butterfly garden. It's not a prescription thing. It's you have to give time to that place. You have to feel for them. You have to have a very keen eye. You have to have a very minute way of looking at butterflies. You know what they are doing. Even small things you need to note down. You have to carry your notebook all the time, and then eventually you create a garden. Definitely there are certain common elements which will be there in the garden, like lime plants. Recently we met a contractor, who is a PWD contractor, a very big guy, talking of gardens of crores and few crores rather. And he said, I know that curry leaf and lime will give butterflies. I know nothing compared to you, but I know this much. I said, okay, what you should not know actually. The obvious things, but yes, there are certain obvious things, like if you have some good looking flowers, butterflies love to venture out in, like me, if there is a good looking food, I will try. So for nectar they are quite open. If it's a good nectar, many of the butterfly can even try a new plant which is not commonly found in that place. But for host, they are like, they are very choosy, and they are very very localized choices are there, and you have to value those choices. You have to value those choices. You cannot put your choice into making a butterfly mate and breed in a plant of your choice rather than their choice. It's
Absolutely.
impossible.
With this, I'll take up a question, Arjun, from the internet, actually, the forms that we sent out. It's related to what we were talking about. Uh, the question is, why are butterfly enthusiasts and butterfly gardens perpetuating invasive plants, sterile or fertile in material? What you're saying?
Look,
So this is a big debate, Arjun. You know, this is a big debate on native plants and wild plants, exotic plants.
I know this exotic indigenous, this and that, but and we always try to propagate native plants, native plants, native plants to begin with.
Yes,
To begin with, I was deadly against butterfly collection. Now we are a part, as a team, we are a part of the butterfly collection group, that we are collecting different butterflies from different places with permission, proper permission, for further study. Because at one point of time I found it cruelty, and in eventually I get to an understanding that to understand butterfly physiology, its various needs and its genetics and all other things, you need specimen. And you also need to know how to collect it, how to preserve it, and how to value a specimen. So initially we are like, we only plant native things, we just ignore all the so-called invasive, so-called other things. Now the first thing is, who said this is invasive? One species is saying this is invasive, not the other. We, the human being. So what is a weed? Who said that this is a weed and this is not a weed? Because this is having some value and this is having no value. You cannot buy a plant, it is a weed. You can buy a plant, it's not a weed.
mm,
So these are general perceptions. We did value additions with our choices, and which you can buy in a nursery is not a weed, and which you cannot buy in a nursery, which happen to grow here and there around your place naturally. Mostly they are termed as weeds. So this is all about how you are conceptualizing the whole thing, what I say, rather than saying native and indigenous and exotic and non-native thing, what I now try to say is what what are the plants which are adopted by the local biodiversity and what are the plants which are not adopted by the local biodiversity. I can give you a very common example.
Please.
There is a group of plants which are plumeria. Plumeria is used by the architects and landscapers across the globe in a fanatic way. It's a very good looking plant. It's really, really good looking. It blooms throughout the year in many cases. It has beautiful broad leaf, green, very beautiful architecture of the plant. But you will hardly find any bird nesting on that plant. In India, you will hardly find any butterfly nectaring on that plant or roosting on that plant. So that is a plant which is exotic, non-native and non-adopted by the local biodiversity. So we have to be very careful about not to put in such plants. Yes, they are needed because aesthetically they look very good. But along with aesthetics, we have to give value to, some other things like how much they are supporting the local biodiversity. Because even if you are putting a plant, it's occupying a space. So if you block all your spaces with plants which are non-supportive towards the local biodiversity, then eventually we will not get places for the supportive plant,
Yes.
and it will ruin the scope of enhancing the biodiversity around it. One example I must state here is Lantana camara. It's a weed. It's a devastating weed in many forests of India. Lantana has played a very negative role, and we do admit it. Along with that, Lantana is also host for some butterfly. Now it's a non-native plant, but many Lepidoptera species as a whole, and even butterflies, they are hosting on Lantana. And the nectar of Lantana being used by the butterflies, like it's the old monk of butterflies. If if you ask a question, you will get an old monk community among the drinkers. So Lantana is like old monks for butterflies.
Absolutely.
Most of the people who are drinking, they have drunk or they like to, on a regular basis, they will go to Lantana. Now, here is a conflict because I know Lantana is an invasive species. I know it is a problem thing. And I also know for my butterflies, Lantana is something which can support them all through the year. So, and eventually we are human beings, we are working on all these aspects in a various levels. So now we have sterile lantanas. Definitely, if you are creating a habitat in and around forest,
Mm.
in and around a place where the forest species are there in abundance, close to the forest, don't need to put lantana. But in an urban settlement where you are into a urban scape, you can definitely use this sterile lantana as they cannot propagate. You cannot, people cannot take them and put it into forest land and they will start going. Not like that. You need to do cutting. You need to make saplings out of those lantanas to propagate it. So it needs time. It will never happen naturally. So in the urban settlement, I don't find it wrong to use lantana because it is being used by many insects on a very profuse manner for their nutritional supplement. So
Arjun,
they,
yeah, I was saying it's a very good point that you bring up.
so adapted by the local biodiversity. What I want to tell means
Exactly,
local.
exactly.
If the local biodiversity is utilizing it, who am I to take it out of the range? It's we have taken it into the range. We have taken many plants like lantana and many other things into their domain. And just because now we understand that it is not very helpful for us, we are trying to throw it out. But during the last 200-300 years, many local biodiversity got dependent on that plant. So we have to think very judiciously. We cannot just whimsically think that this is weed, this is we have to discard, this is not weed. Who has defined this weed and non-native, native, all those things? These are human perceptions. So you have to understand the interlock between this biodiversity element, how they are behaving to each other with each other, and you have to take a call according to that. So you have to be very judicious about where you are putting
Arjan,
things.
that's what I was saying. It's a very good point that you bring up. Yes, exactly what I was trying to get at. That it's butterfly habitats are not ecological restoration projects. You know, if you're working in a forest on ecological restoration, then of course stay away from invasives. You have to focus on natives. But butterfly gardens are small places of joy for people to watch butterflies. Right? You're trying to enhance the already existing garden space so that more butterflies visit there. So a debate on natives and non-natives, it goes like beyond the purview of the thing. We have to understand what the butterfly is like and then try and provide that. As simple as that. You know, the biodiversity, it has to be useful to the biodiversity.
Even Sohail, if you, but I consider we don't say butterfly gardens for all our gardens. We in many cases we say butterfly conservatory, and this is a term again. This is promoted by Sarika a lot. She said no, these are not only gardens; these are conservatories because we do a lot of things for their conservation. And what I told that even in if you think this is a ecological restoration of a place in a way in urban ecology, urban biodiversity. So butterfly gardens are a very important element of restoring urban biodiversity and urban ecology. They can be used to do that as well. So what I'm telling is you have to understand the cost benefit ratio. Where the cost benefit ratio of lantana is poor, don't put lantana over there. But where it's not that poor, it's beneficial more than destructive,
Mm.
you can definitely put lantana. So you have to choose things like, there are many things you can say. If you look at these garden varieties, lantanas, you will say there are loads of other plants growing in and around it very naturally. It's not like the wild lantana where you will not see undergrowth, around the lantana bush.
Mm.
In the garden variety lantana, I can show you in my garden, there are many other auriculata, these and that I have seen growing very close to those plants naturally. So we have altered the lantana to a sterile lantana and we have modified it. So we have modified it for some reason, and that is helping the butterfly gardens as well. Definitely, sterile lantana was not created to create butterfly garden, but to create ornamental gardens, places with flowers throughout the year. So you have whites, you have mauve color, you have this and that. But the red and yellow lantana, the commonly seen garden lantanas, they're brilliant in supporting butterfly diversity. Various family of butterflies are
Use
used
rose
to it,
plant also.
use those plants. So you have to be very judicial about that's what I'm telling. You have to take the call very judiciously. It's not like lantana no, lantana yes. It's about lantana no because these are the things around. There are plenty of native, not so harmful, or whatever you say. There are availability of other plants which can provide nectar throughout the year, and when where there is no such plants available to provide nectar throughout the year, definitely you can use lantana for the butterflies. Eventually, butterflies will bring in birds. Eventually, many other things will come, and with them, maybe you start getting some native varieties or which are not ticked off varieties for nectar in your garden because birds can bring in those seeds from somewhere else. Some other smaller mammals can bring in seeds from somewhere else, and your garden can have those varieties coming up. And as this lantana is not propagating by its own, as this is not growing beyond your control, so you can always take it off if you want after a while when there are other sources of nectar available in your garden. So you have to take the call in a very judicial way.
Arjun, in the same vein, our discussion has touched upon a lot of questions that we got already. But one last question from the internet before I get our participants involved. Uh, if you were building a butterfly garden with only native plants, which nectar plant would you be choosing? Or
I don't know
which
who
ones
had
would you
asked this
choose?
question, but if I ask him or her, you give me 5 native plant name of plants which provides nectar throughout the year, I will be happy to choose any one of them. Even Ixora, Jatropha, Hamelia. You name a whole lot of nectar plants that are used around. Hardly will find any truly native, 100% native variety.
Yes.
You know, there are plants native which can attract loads of butterfly that we are discussing. This Gaiva asiatica, the falsa tree.
Falsa. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
but they flowers only for a month. So what will happen
Exactly.
in 7 months? So it's very hard. I mean, if you are making an habitat, so you can argue that in nature what happens in nature, even you find many unusual things. If you have ventured into the forest, you will get to see many unusual things happening, and they are already there. Many this Tacarfeta, this particular plant, the Jarvash we call another plant. Those are there in our forest, like they are native in the forest for I don't know how many years, but they are not originally native. They are adapted by the local biodiversity, propagated by the local biodiversity, and found their place and providing support for the local insect and eventually to the birds and other higher group of animals. So yes, Ixora is a very good plant if you say, but it's again Ixora chinensis says that it has some China connection. There are many plants which are even those are very commonly even the Allotropis gigantea. If you try to look at its origin, which is associated with our Lord Shiva, you cannot have Shiv Puja without this Akondor pool,
Yeah.
and it is from African origin. So now Lord Shiva is of African origin, or we are from Africa. It can lead to many many things, which is very hard to explain. So you don't go by the way we say native and exotic and indigenous and all those things. What I think is better to understand is which is been used by many biodiversity elements on a regular basis. Maybe it's a non-native thing, but it is supporting a whole lot of other biodiversity elements of your place. Then it's a useful plant for them. You just can't discard it right away. You have to be
So,
very careful about taking the call.
so Arjun, very nice. As in, you touched upon really good things with this native and non-native debate. It's always raging whenever we talk about habitats, butterfly habitats, and it's well intentioned. I see where it comes from. It's well intentioned. People are trying to make judicious choices in what they plant, what they don't plant. But like you said, it's time to go beyond this and look for what the butterfly needs or what is supporting biodiversity rather than just what is native, what is non-native. With that, Arjun, I would go to questions from the audience. Shella asked a question, a couple of questions actually. Why did you feel the need to create a lab? You did touch upon it, but why did you feel the need to create a lab?
Yes, a very important question. The thing is, if you look at the butterflies, if you look at a butterfly, if you look at their breeding thing, if you go behind behind the scene, how many eggs they are laying, what is happening to their larvae, and what is happening, how many of them are coming out from egg to the mature stage, you'll get to see that only my idea is only 10-12% of them actually become butterfly from egg. So what I found is, if whenever you are doing something with nature, you have to be very careful. Even if I want to make that, if a butterfly lay 100 eggs, and every 100 eggs I will ensure that 90 of them will come out as butterflies, then that particular species may be vulnerable in that area because of the crowding, because of overpopulation. So you can feel it as a human being for sure. So we have to be very careful. We need butterflies. We need their number to increase, but we cannot do it in a way so that their number goes beyond a level which make that population vulnerable because of the number. So in a lab, what we do, out of the 100 eggs they lay, we say we provide in XC2 XC2 support for 20 of them. So remaining 80 of them remains there in the nature, in the in situ condition, and provide support to all the other life forms that are dependent on butterfly for various reasons in their various life stages. Like most of the birds, they prefer to take more than adult butterflies. They prefer to take the larvae. But some birds like the green beater or some bird like that, the falconet, collared falconet in our North Bengal landscape,
Yes.
all the beaters in our landscape, they prefer to take the adult one. The drongo, they take everything, means
Yes.
from larvae to pupae to adult, everything. The egrets, they prefer the adult one, whereas the mynas, the starlings, they always love to take the larvae.
Yeah.
So we keep the 80% of the of the butterfly life stages in nature to support the diversity they are supporting, because we are not creating butterfly garden for just to ensure there leaves a loads of butterflies. We are also making a butterfly garden to ensure that the overall biodiversity get enhanced by their presence, because they are animals of special uh, you know uh, importance. They support a full lot of biodiversity, and their presence ensures the overall quality of biodiversity. So if I take out all of them from in situ condition to ex situ condition and provide them support, then suddenly there will be a random increase of our species, and then there will be a sharp drop, because in that habitat I cannot accommodate plants for all of them, and there will be no natural predation, because if the number goes like that, so we take out 20%, 15 to 20% of them. We ensure 80% conversion of that. So eventually, what happens if I take 20 eggs, and out of 20 eggs we get 16 butterflies, 80% of them get converted, and from the 80 we get 9 or 10 butterflies. So instead of getting 12, we are just increasing it by say 100% of that, but it's again it's only 24 butterflies out of 24, 26 butterflies out of 100. So from 12%, 12 to 14% to 20 to 25%. So this much of increase happened, and that actually is increase which we can accommodate, which the local biodiversity can use for their growth as well. It's not a sudden jump, and that increase allows us to raise the visibility by and large. Suddenly get to see double the number of butterflies in a place in a way without much changes, just because you are providing. And as insects, they are having the various life stages. The concept of in situ and ex situ conservation fits perfectly with insect groups and reptiles groups where there is no parenting. So when I'm releasing a butterfly on the day of its emergence, it is exactly as it got emerged in the natural setup. It is coming out of a box, and it flew off. The box is not there. There is maybe under the leaf or some other anchoring points. In nature, it happens. In our laboratory, it happens in a box. So that much is the difference, and you can change the visibility. You can change the number with a very managed way. It's not, you can, if you see that even with that 20%, the number of half species is increasing very rapidly, you stop collecting that particular species, you give stress on other species. So we can manage the whole thing. We can do things according to the visibility, according to the way they are behaving in nature. So a lab gives you enormous support for a butterfly garden to sustain throughout the year with a good visibility and serving the purpose.
Arjun, a great point that you touched upon here. A lot of students, well-intentioned, uh, very well, familiar with butterflies, people who have been working with butterflies for a long time. There's a new fad now about saving caterpillars. So people go out and